Have you ever been in a conversation where the air suddenly changes, the playful banter and polite exchanges fall away, replaced by a raw, unfiltered moment of honesty that feels so real it's almost startling? In that instant, he seems to lean in, his full attention on you, drawn closer, not by a physical gesture, but by an emotional current. We're often told to stay guarded, to present a polished, invulnerable version of ourselves. We learn to keep our cards close, believing that revealing our authentic selves is a risk that could be weaponized against us. This fear of exposure, of being found wanting, keeps us locked in a cycle of surface-level interactions. But this survival strategy, while offering temporary protection, ultimately creates a hollow space where true intimacy should grow. It is a protective shell that keeps us lonely. What if the very thing you've been conditioned to hide, your emotional truth, is the most magnetic force you possess? Welcome to Love Threads, where we don't just talk about relationships, we deconstruct them. We blend authentic, grounded insights with robust, evidence-based psychology, giving you the real intelligence on why we connect, why we sometimes misstep, and how to truly thrive when love feels like a constantly shifting landscape. We'll use the wisdom of attachment theory, the neuroscience of connection, and ancient archetypes to guide our exploration. Tonight, we're unraveling the profound magnetism of emotional intensity and exploring how to harness its power to build a deeper, more profound connection. This isn't about drama or manufactured chaos. It's about the quiet courage to show up as you are and the powerful neurological and psychological impact that genuine vulnerability has on the human heart. We're here to show you that the love you seek isn't found in a flawless facade, but in the brave, beautiful mess of your true self. The dilemma from performance to presence. We live in a world of carefully curated personas. On dating apps and in initial interactions, we're all performing. We showcase our best selves, our most interesting hobbies, our most charming anecdotes. It's a game of strategic self-presentation, and we become adept at it, a kind of relational camouflage. We fear that our true selves are unlovable, a deep-seated belief often born from past rejections or unmet needs. So we hide, projecting an image of effortless perfection that is both exhausting to maintain and deeply lonely. This carefully constructed facade often prevents us from forming the deep, lasting connections we crave. We're so busy managing the external perception that we lose touch with our own internal emotional landscape. We fear that to be our full, flawed, and feeling selves is to be too much, to be rejected. This is the central paradox. We crave intimacy, yet we are terrified of the vulnerability required to achieve it. Imagine someone we'll call Lena. For weeks, her connection with a new partner was a masterclass in this kind of performance. Their conversations were a light, effortless volley of jokes, stories, and opinions, a perfectly pleasant exchange of information. They were two actors in a two-person play, and the stage was perfectly lit. Then, one evening, a topic came up that was too close to her heart to be handled with a casual air. She found herself sharing a deeply personal story about a cherished but lost dream. She felt a vulnerability so sharp it was almost physical, a slight tremor in her voice. Yet, as she spoke, she noticed a change in him. The casual ease in his posture evaporated. He became still, his full presence an anchor in the moment. His eyes, which had been bright with playfulness, softened, a new kind of light dawning in them, the light of genuine understanding. She didn't intend to reveal so much, but the words just came out. She watched his expression shift from relaxed to intensely focused. The small talk was gone, and something deeper had taken its place. This moment isn't about drama. It's about the profound power of authentic presence. When we drop the mask and allow our genuine emotions to surface, we invite a kind of intimacy that a polished performance can never achieve. When a person feels truly seen, not for their cleverness or their success, but for their vulnerability, it triggers a powerful neurochemical response. This isn't a conscious choice, it's a primal, biological response. The brain, hardwired for connection, receives the signal of authenticity and immediately shifts from a state of assessment to a state of bonding. The brain releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical, and dopamine, the pleasure and motivation neurochemical. This chemical cocktail is a powerful magnet, forging an attachment that feels undeniable and real. The metaphorical sparks aren't random, they're a neurochemical reward for the courage to connect. This is our limbic system, our emotional brain, saying this is safe, this is real. The metaphor is simple but profound. A bridge is built between two souls, not with grand gestures, but with the quiet courage of vulnerability. It's the difference between seeing a photograph of a mountain and standing on its summit, feeling the wind and the awe. That's the feeling of emotional intensity. It's not a spectacle, it's a shared experience. It is the moment we stop performing and start simply existing, side by side, in the same beautiful and terrifying reality.
Anecdotal threads. The archetypal echo. Lena's story is a modern echo of a timeless archetype, the lover. The lover archetype seeks not just a partner, but a deep union of souls. This archetype, in its purest form, craves connection and intimacy. When Lena shared her lost dream, she was embodying another archetype as well, the orphan, the part of us that has experienced loss and loneliness. By revealing this to him, she was unconsciously inviting him into her journey, showing him the wound that yearns to be healed, the part of herself that feels unfulfilled or unseen. This act of being seen, not just heard, is what fosters emotional responsiveness. She remembers the moment vividly. He asked a simple, probing question about her passions, and she felt a sudden rush of emotion. A long-held dream of becoming a writer, a passion she had set aside for a more sensible career, suddenly spilled out. It wasn't a triumphant story, it was a confession tinged with regret. She watched his eyes. They didn't just listen, they seemed to see a past version of her, a younger self who held that dream with fierce hope. This responsiveness is the foundation of secure attachment, as taught by experts like Sue Johnson. When a partner consistently meets your emotional bids with empathy and engagement, you begin to feel safe and valued. This is the difference between simply being with someone and truly being bonded to them. This is the lover archetype in both of them responding to the orphan in her. It takes courage to show up authentically, especially when you've been conditioned to believe that your imperfections are a liability. But when Lena took that risk, she didn't find rejection. She found an empathy that felt like a quiet confirmation. I see you and I am drawn to you. Her vulnerability wasn't a flaw, it was a key to a deeper chamber of connection. His empathetic response was a testament to his own emotional capacity and an unconscious nod to the archetypal energy at play. These moments can align with our archetypal soul contracts. These intense emotional exchanges aren't random. They are moments of a deeper, preordained conversation. They are designed to teach us about intimacy and communication, drawing us into a relationship that holds a purpose greater than just attraction. In these moments, we are not just two individuals. We are two souls engaging in a contract of growth and transformation. Lena's story deepened as she realized this. She started sharing more of her genuine thoughts, fears, and joys. She noticed that the more she allowed herself to be present, the more present he became. He began to lean in more, not just physically, but emotionally, offering his own vulnerabilities in return. He shared a story about his relationship with his father, revealing a profound sense of loss that he had always kept hidden.
This moment of shared vulnerability created a bond that felt both ancient and brand new. The hero archetype in him, which often feels the pressure to be strong and unwavering, allowed itself to be seen as human. In this exchange, Lena wasn't just a partner. She was a witness to his truth, a sacred role that deepened their connection far beyond the superficial. However, Lena's journey had a hidden challenge. She still had to learn how to be truly authentic without unconsciously pushing for a response. The line between sharing for connection and oversharing for validation is a thin one. When she shared a particularly painful memory, she found herself anxiously waiting for his reaction, her nervous system in a state of high alert. This wasn't about connection. It was a bid for reassurance, a subtle test of his loyalty. She had to learn to separate the act of sharing from the need for a specific outcome. The mini cliffhanger for Lena became this realization. The power wasn't in the vulnerability itself, but in the authenticity of its delivery. She noticed that when she shared from a place of self-possession, her pain, her dreams, her fears, without an agenda, he was drawn closer. But when she shared with a subtle, desperate energy, seeking to fill a void within herself, she felt a subtle pullback from him. She was discovering that the magnetic force of emotional intensity is most powerful when it comes from a place of inner strength, not inner lack. This is the central paradox we must all navigate. We are drawn to authenticity, yet we are simultaneously repelled by a frantic, needy energy. The journey is not about eliminating our fears, but about learning to hold them with compassion and courage, and then choosing to share from a place of wholeness, not emptiness. This is the art of conscious vulnerability, the ultimate skill for rewriting our relational narrative.
The invisible threads. The magnetic pole of emotional intensity is a beautifully complex dance of psychology, biology, and archetypal patterns. It's not a mystery, but a process that can be understood. We can trace its threads through several core fields of study. 1. Attachment and emotional responsiveness. At the heart of this dynamic lies attachment theory. Attachment is our primary human drive, a fundamental need for connection. Our early relationships with our primary caregivers shape our attachment style, creating an internal blueprint for how we navigate intimacy as adults. This blueprint, often formed before we have conscious memories, tells us whether the world is a safe place to express our needs and whether love is a consistent, reliable resource. The secure attachment. Individuals with a secure attachment style naturally respond to vulnerability with empathy because they have an internal blueprint that says intimacy is safe. They grew up with caregivers who were consistently available and responsive to their needs. This taught them that their emotions are valid and that love is a consistent, reliable resource. They can be present for another person's emotional truth without feeling threatened or overwhelmed. Their own nervous systems are regulated, allowing them to provide a safe harbor for their partner. When you share something raw with a secure partner, they lean in because their core programming sees this as an invitation to deepen a trusted bond. They're not pulled in by a need to fix you, but by a genuine desire to connect and be present. This is the ideal reciprocal exchange, a dance of mutual trust. The anxious, preoccupied attachment. Individuals with an anxious, preoccupied style are hyper-vigilant to signs of disconnection. Their core fear is abandonment, a pattern learned in childhood from inconsistent care. Perhaps a parent was loving one moment and emotionally absent the next, creating a deep-seated uncertainty about the stability of love. For them, a partner's engaged, attentive response to their vulnerability is a powerful antidote to this core fear. It's a moment of reassurance that the bond is strengthening, alleviating their internal panic. When you, as a secure or even avoidant person, share a deep truth, the anxious partner may feel a powerful magnetism because this vulnerable moment feels like a promise of security. They are drawn to this intensity as a source of relief and confirmation that they are not alone. But this is a double-edged sword.
If they are the one sharing, they might be drawn to a partner who responds, but can also be triggered if the response is not immediate or perfect, which leads to a constant cycle of testing the bond. This emotional bid is a constant test. Are you still there for me? Do you still love me? The avoidant attachment. Individuals with an avoidant attachment have learned to suppress their emotional needs and seek independence to feel safe. They may have had caregivers who were emotionally distant or dismissive of their feelings. This taught them that relying on others is risky and that emotional expression leads to rejection. As a result, they developed a deep-seated fear of engulfment, of losing their autonomy in a relationship. At first glance, you might think emotional intensity would push them away, and in many cases it will, particularly if it feels overwhelming or demanding. However, there's a powerful paradox. When vulnerability is shared without an expectation or pressure, when the intensity is a quiet, self-possessed truth rather than a frantic plea for validation, it can bypass their defensive walls. It feels real, not demanding. The avoidant partner, who often subconsciously longs for connection but fears it, can be drawn to this authenticity. It offers a glimpse of a genuine, non-threatening connection they secretly crave. Their nervous system may subtly lean in, recognizing a potential for a real, meaningful bond that doesn't threaten their independence. The magnetism here is a quiet, internal pull, not an overt expression, a silent recognition of a shared humanity. The anxious avoidant trap. It's no coincidence that anxious and avoidant people are often drawn to each other. The anxious person's hypervigilance is a desperate attempt to create the closeness they crave, while the avoidant person's need for space confirms the anxious person's deepest fear. This creates a powerful, yet destructive magnetic pull. The initial intensity is a dance of hope and fear, but it often devolves into a chase and retreat cycle. The anxious person pursues, the avoidant person retreats, and both feel misunderstood and exhausted. Understanding this dynamic is the first step to breaking free. 2. The neuroscience of connection. The intricate dance of attraction and bonding is more than just a feeling. It's a sophisticated feedback loop within the body's own chemical system. Our brains are naturally inclined towards connection, and emotionally significant interactions act as a direct pathway to forging these bonds. The exchange of vulnerability triggers the release of a potent neurochemical blend, and understanding what prompts this release is key to grasping how it profoundly shapes our entire nervous system and relational patterns. The neurochemical weave of connection. The brain, acting as a master composer, orchestrates a symphony of chemicals that define our experiences of love and intimacy. The thrill of pursuit. At the beginning of a connection, our brain's reward system is highly active. A key player in this is a neurochemical that drives motivation and pleasure. Its release is what makes the initial stages feel so exhilarating. When a moment of genuine connection occurs, a shared laugh, a perceptive insight, a reciprocal glance, this chemical floods the system, signaling to the brain, "This is valuable, seek more of this." This mechanism is why the early chase can be so captivating, as each successful interaction provides a rewarding surge that reinforces the desire for more. The glue of intimacy. As connection deepens, another critical neurochemical comes into play. It's often called the bonding hormone and is released during moments of close, authentic interaction. This isn't limited to physical touch. It's also prompted by empathetic listening, sustained eye contact, and the courageous act of sharing a deep truth. This chemical fosters a sense of safety and trust, acting as a biological glue that solidifies emotional bonds. When a partner offers undivided attention and a gentle, receptive presence, this hormone helps our brain register them as a secure figure. The cement of commitment. A third neurochemical works in concert with the bonding hormone to support long-term pair bonding. It fortifies feelings of commitment, helping us move beyond the initial rush of attraction into a more stable and enduring partnership.
It's the neurochemical that helps to transition a relationship from an exciting but potentially fleeting infatuation to a resilient and committed love. This combined neurochemical activity imprints the memory of the interaction, elevating it to a significant moment in the relationship's journey. It creates a beautiful feedback loop. We take the risk of being emotionally open, are met with acceptance and empathy, and are then rewarded with feelings of security and pleasure, which encourages us to engage in this kind of connection again. Our very nervous system is wired to seek out these moments of profound and authentic connection. When a partner's demeanor is soft, their tone is gentle, and their presence is fully engaged, our social engagement system signals safety, allowing our defenses to drop and enabling genuine intimacy. Conversely, when these signals are absent, our defenses remain high, and the magnetic pull that draws us together is lost. The quality of our connection is directly reflected in the chemical messages our brains send and receive.
3. Shadow work and archetypes. Emotional intensity often mirrors deeply embedded archetypal patterns. Archetypes are universal, primordial images and ideas that exist in our collective unconscious. When we express a deep fear or a long-held dream, we are tapping into these universal themes. The lover's desire for union. The lover archetype in both partners is activated. It's the energy that seeks wholeness and connection, the drive to merge with another. Its shadow side, however, is addiction and jealousy, the frantic need to possess the beloved to feel complete. The magnetic pull of the lover archetype is powerful, but without conscious awareness, it can lead to a destructive cycle. The orphan sphere of abandonment. By sharing a story of pain or loneliness, we activate the orphan. This can trigger a caregiver archetype in the partner, creating an unconscious desire to protect and nurture. The caregiver's shadow side is martyrdom and codependency, the need to be needed. The hero's quest for purpose. When we share a passion or a dream, we are acting as the hero, on a journey. This can trigger the partner's own hero archetype, creating a shared sense of purpose and a feeling of being on the same team. The hero's shadow is over-responsibility and burnout, the inability to ask for help. The anima and animus. Of the anima, the unconscious feminine energy in men, and the animus, the unconscious masculine energy in women. The magnetic pull we feel for a partner is often a projection of our own anima or animus. We are drawn to them because they embody the parts of ourselves we have repressed or have not yet integrated. The intensity of this initial attraction is a powerful call to wholeness, a deep subconscious desire to become complete. When a partner witnesses our truth, they are not just seeing us, they are seeing a universal human story, and their own archetypes are stirred in response, the hero's journey and our relationships. The moment of vulnerability is often a crossing of the threshold, a departure from the ordinary world of superficiality into the special world of true intimacy. This threshold can be terrifying because it requires us to face the unknown, to let go of our defenses, but it is also the place where true growth and relational transformation occur. These are the moments that define the journey, when the lover meets the orphan and the caregiver meets the hero. 4. Family systems and constellations. Finally, our capacity for emotional intensity and our partner's response to it are profoundly shaped by our family systems. Our families of origin teach us the unspoken rules of emotional expression. These rules, often passed down through generations, dictate what emotions are safe to feel and express. If you grew up in a home where emotions were repressed, you might be terrified of expressing your truth, fearing that your intensity will be met with rejection. If you grew up in a dramatic or chaotic home, you might confuse intensity with drama, fearing it as a signal of danger. A partner's response might also be a replay of an ancestral pattern. This is the wisdom of family constellations, that we are all bound by unconscious loyalties to our family systems.
Our partners are often chosen, on a subconscious level, to help us heal or resolve these invisible burdens. For example, a woman whose grandmother was abandoned might unconsciously choose partners who are emotionally distant, reenacting the pattern. This is not about a lack of choice. It's about a deep subconscious pull to resolve the inherited pain. The magnetic pull is not just between two people, but between two family systems seeking resolution.
Rewriting the narrative, the turning point. Now that we understand the powerful magnetic force of emotional intensity, the question becomes, how do we harness it consciously without slipping into a pattern of manipulation or emotional chaos? The goal is to use this tool as a bridge to genuine connection, not as a trap to ensnare someone. The key is to be intentional, authentic, and self-aware. This is where we rewrite the narrative from one of unconscious reaction to one of conscious creation. We move from a place of simply reacting to our emotional triggers to a place of proactively building the kind of love we truly desire. The turning point in any relationship isn't a single dramatic moment. It's the quiet, internal shift where you realize you have the power to change the dynamic. It's a moment of empowerment, where you stop blaming circumstances or your partner and start taking responsibility for your own emotional landscape. This shift begins with 3 core practices. 1. Practice authentic vulnerability. The first and crucial step is to share your feelings, dreams, and fears from a grounded, self-aware place. The distinction here is crucial. You are sharing, not oversharing. Oversharing comes from a place of seeking validation or an immediate rescue, a frantic, desperate energy that pushes people away. It's often followed by a vulnerability hangover, a feeling of shame and regret that signals you shared from a place of deep-seated need, not from a place of courage. Authentic sharing comes from a place of self-possession and a desire to connect. It's about courageously owning your story. When you do this, you invite empathy, not pity. You are offering a piece of yourself as a gift, not as a burden. Example 1, the difference. Consider a common fear, the fear of failure. Oversharing for validation. I'm so scared I'm going to fail at this new job. I just don't think I'm good enough. I don't know what I'd do if I lost it, and I'm worried you'd stop loving me if I'm not successful. This statement is a powerful emotional bid, but it's laden with conditions. It places the responsibility for your emotional security on your partner, and it can feel like a subtle test of his love. The magnetic pull here is a desperate draining force, not a connecting one. Authentic sharing. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about this new job. It's a big step for me, and I'm just trying to navigate all the new emotions that come with it. I wanted to share that with you because you're important to me. This statement is a fact about your internal state, not a test of his love. It expresses your feelings without attaching a condition to his response. This kind of vulnerability is a clean energy exchange, a powerful invitation to intimacy. Actionable step. When you feel the urge to share, take a moment to check in with your intention. Ask yourself these 2 questions. Am I sharing this to be seen, or am I sharing this to get a specific response? And am I giving this as a gift, or am I laying it at his feet as a burden? If you feel the intention is to get a specific outcome, practice self-soothing first. Take a few deep breaths, journal your feelings, or talk to a trusted friend or therapist. Share only when you feel grounded enough to do so without an agenda, when the act of sharing itself is the goal, not the reaction. 2. Balance intensity with autonomy. Relationships need space to breathe. Desire thrives in the presence of both closeness and distance. When you share something deeply emotional, give your partner the space to respond in their own time. Don't crowd the moment with expectations. By maintaining your own boundaries and personal interests, you show that you're a whole person, not half of a couple waiting for completion. This paradox of being both intimate and independent is the secret to sustaining attraction and preventing emotional fusion.
A partner needs to see you as a separate, distinct individual to maintain desire. When you share a deep part of yourself and then immediately pivot back to a place of self-possession and autonomy, you are demonstrating your wholeness. You are saying, this is a part of my internal world, and I am choosing to share it with you, but I'm still the captain of my own ship. This is a powerful signal of confidence and security. Example 2, the space. A woman named Maria used to share a deep fear, then immediately ask, "What do you think? Am I crazy?" This left her partner feeling pressured to fix her, and in turn feeling a subtle urge to pull away. When she learned to balance intensity with autonomy, she started sharing a vulnerability and then, without waiting for a response, would say, "Anyway, let's go get some ice cream." She gave him the gift of her truth, and then gave him the gift of space. This subtle shift created a dynamic of attraction, not dependency. Her partner now had the space to process what she shared and respond from a place of genuine connection, not obligation. Actionable step. After a moment of sharing, simply observe. Use the information you gather to guide your next steps. If he consistently meets your vulnerability with empathy and presence, you can feel safe to continue to build that bond. If he consistently retreats, this may be an area for gentle, patient growth, or a signal that this person may not have the capacity for the depth you desire. Instead of making an accusation, try a gentle inquiry. "I noticed you got quiet when I said that. What was going through your mind?" This opens a conversation without making him feel defensive. This is the turning point. It's the moment you stop outsourcing your worth and start using your emotional intelligence to build a connection that is not just exciting, but also incredibly resilient. Conclusion and reflection. Emotional intensity is a powerful magnet, but it's only truly effective when it's built on a foundation of authenticity, conscious awareness, and balance. It is not a trap to ensnare someone, but a bridge to build a profound and lasting connection. By embracing your emotional truth, you are not just getting closer to your partner, you are getting closer to yourself. You are shedding the persona and stepping into the power of who you truly are. The journey we've explored tonight is more than just about attraction. It's about the courage to be seen, the wisdom to understand the invisible forces at play in our relationships, and the integrity to show up without an agenda. It's about recognizing that the greatest love is not found in a partner who completes you, but in a partner who witnesses you, who sees your light and your shadow, your triumphs and your fears, and chooses to stand beside you anyway. This is the essence of a conscious relationship, and it is the kind of love that doesn't just pull you in like a magnet, it holds you in a state of grace. So ask yourself, where in your life have you been holding back? What truth are you afraid to share? And what would it feel like to love and be loved for the brave, beautiful, and sometimes messy truth of who you are? If this stirred something in you, subscribe to Love Threads. We're not here to fix you. We're here to help you remember who you are. Join us next time as we unravel the final thread of what it means to connect, commit, and truly thrive in modern relationships.